getting dark, too dark to see. I feel I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door.
Without adding, the layers and layers of more shadow, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So our interpretation.
So we're already whole, in other words, and there's no reconciliation required.
Yeah, well, I would, I hate, because that sounds like real platitudinish.
Yeah.
But I think that, there's a gradual awakening process, which is initiation, which is, just increasing, witnessing. So, give me like an example. Like, if would that have an effect in how you do a day-to-day meditational practice?
Yeah. I think a good example is racism or homophobia, right? Because those are shadow projections, are they not? If something's adamantly it's bothering you to the point like you're embodied, like you feel like rage or fear or whatever.
Yeah.
That's indications of a shadow element. If it's just informing you, like, oh, that's curious, I'm tilting my head like, that's strange. If it's informing you, it's a good indicator that shadow is not really present. If it's bothering you. So what shadow means in this case is it takes one to know one, right? And the classic example of that is in American Beauty. It takes one to know one. He's so against his son being a homosexual because it's part of himself that he doesn't want anybody to know about. And at the end he's exposed, and then that's, it gets into trouble, and he didn't get the right signals from Kevin Spacey's character and ends up shooting him because he exposed his an aspect of himself, and Kevin Spacey didn't.
Is that related to into the past in any way, or is it?
In a sense, it is, because you can objectify. If we're going to look at our own shadow, we can look at how we've dealt with things in the past and say, was I bothered in that sense, or was I informed? And if you can genuinely, if the intuition that comes back that you were bothered, you were emotionally moved to have some reaction of fear or hatred, then it seems to be an obvious kind of categorical difference. You're not informed, you're bothered, so there's a shadow element there. I mean, if we're going to make some differentiation and call that shadow, that's where we do it. So the difference between informing you and actually bothering you, moving you in a sense. So I say, are you curious? No, I don't want to do that. So that's where I kind of draw the line from my experience, and it usually takes objectifying past experiences to do that. So that's what I mean when I say we're dependent upon time to practically navigate through the shadow and always.
So basically we can only learn about the shadow based on the effects that it leaves in our past.
Yeah, so we're shadow dancing in a sense. We're always tracing the shadow, while dealing with the shadow. So it seems consistent that you go in the past, because shadow seems to be like, if we are up here, whatever, and then shadow seems to be behind us. Yeah. So there's a linear kind of quality to it.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I think as we increase in our stages of consciousness, we sort of discover new problems.
Yeah. And
that we never realized before. So I think that really ties back into how there's a certain expiration date on these stages of consciousness and the practicality of the solutions that they can offer.
Yeah. They only work so long.
And I also say that
each religion only works so long before it needs to be sort of superseded by a newer, a deeper insight.
Yeah.
And also, I think though one thing that doesn't change too much that I found though is that they try to come forward with this message that we're all one, and by the way that the inherent nature of that unity is emptiness. I think that's really the main thing that I get from my survey.
Emptiness. What would you say to the idea that this unity is love, basically. But I guess love, true love, would be empty in the sense that it was always pouring out of itself, right?
Right. It depends on, you know, its opposite.
Right.
It depends on its own shadow.
Right.
Basically.
Perfect.
So that love can manifest in greater and greater fullness, which is what we see happening as through the hierarchy of stages.
Right. And we should maybe, you know, just in closing, point out that it's not only human consciousness that evolves, but in this way it's seemingly towards greater connectivity, greater expression of compassion and creativity, but
Complexity?
And complexity. But the universe itself has been doing this long before human beings were even around, right?
Right.
So it's a
Exactly.
cosmological process too.
Exactly. That's why I think there's a lot to so that people can gain from, you know, doing or trying to unify with non-human things as well.
Right.
I think that you can really use those occasions of experience to get a better insight.
Right. Cool.
All
So unless
Excellent.
you have anything else, John, you want to
No,
Wrap
I think
it up
we
and-
covered some good issues.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Alright.
Thanks for hanging out with us, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you guys.
Yep.
All right, enjoy the sunshine.
I'll see you
man.
next time, buddy.
Alright, bud.
All right, take it easy.
Guns in the ground. I can't shoot them anymore.